So I'm actually kinda late on the ball here, but not too long ago, Topuria expressed how he wanted to move up to lightweight and fight Charles Oliveira. And I actually like this quite a lot, cause when champions move up, they usually get immediate title shots, and that way, they're not really risking anything besides an L, because if they lose, they can always go back to their original division. But this way, Topuria has to go through a dangerous contender, and let's face it, Charles Oliveira is easily a top 3 lightweight of all time, and this fight will most likely be a banger too. So in this video, I'm gonna break down and try to predict this matchup. And you guys already know how it go. Let's discuss the strengths and weaknesses of each fighter. So Ilia Topuria's biggest weapon is his boxing. The guy's hands are next level. He has very technical boxing, great timing, and great precision on his punches. And on top of that, he has insane power as well. But besides his offensive skills, he's also very good defensively. He has great shoulder rolls and great head movement. But besides his striking, he's also a skilled grappler, which is quite surprising considering how much he uses his striking. But I think he actually started out with wrestling or something like that. And surprisingly, he also had quite a decent amount of submissions on his record. Like not too long ago, he did submit Bryce Mitchell, who's a very legit grappler. And another thing I don't see people talking about is his fight IQ. When he got dropped by Jai Herbert, he switched to a wrestling approach before eventually knocking him out. Against Emmett, he basically just fought behind his jab and made reads on him. And against Volk, he was pretty passive in the first 2 minutes because he was downloading data, and after that, he started turning it up, especially in the second round. But in my opinion, he does have one pretty obvious weakness, and that is the leg kicks. He stands very lead leg heavy, which is a recipe for getting your leg kicked in. However, he is pretty good at blocking body kicks and stuff like that. And this isn't really much of a weakness, but he is quite short, so his reach isn't insane, but his style isn't based on being a rangy guy anyways, so it doesn't really matter. Now Oliveira's biggest strength is of course his grappling. He's one of the most dangerous grapplers in the UFC. He's very good at getting submissions and getting to the back of his opponents. I mean, his record literally shows that. I think he has the most submissions in the UFC or something like that. But besides that, he has very underrated striking. He fights a lot like a Thai boxer. You know, he stands very tall, lots of teeps, good knees in the clinch, and he has a pretty high guard as well. But he also has great hands too, especially his precision and technique. Very sharp and powerful punches. He drops a lot of people with those. However, he has one very obvious weakness, and that is his defense. Offensively, he's great, but defensively, not so much. He gets dropped in every single fight pretty much, and he also doesn't fight too well on the back foot. But let's go over the win conditions for each fighter, and let's start off with Ilia Topuria. Now, in order for Topuria to get this win, he's gonna have to close that distance and get into boxing range so he can make use of his most dangerous weapon, aka his boxing. And he's also gonna want to avoid the grappling exchanges here because that's where Oliveira is the most dangerous. And he's also gonna want to pressure Oliveira because Oliveira doesn't fight that well off the back foot. Now Oliveira's way to victory is to keep Topuria at kicking range because as I've said before, his most dangerous weapon is his boxing and he does stand pretty bladed actually. So I want Oliveira to use a lot of leg kicks in this fight and especially that oblique kick since it's gonna be extra effective because he stands a little bit bladed. Now, he's also going to want to clinch if Topuria gets into boxing range. As I said in the Makhachev video, it's an age-old strategy to neutralize a good boxer. And Oliveira is actually pretty good in the clinch as well. He actually has pretty nasty knees. And in the clinch, he's actually going to have the option to take this fight to the ground. And that's actually something I want to see him do in this fight because he's the most dangerous on the ground. Now that said, this is a very competitive fight. They both have strength and weaknesses that complement each other. For example, Topuria's weakness to kicks and Oliveira's weakness to boxing. And there are a lot of factors in this fight. For example, can Topuria survive if it gets to the ground? Can Oliveira even take this fight to the ground? And I'll actually start by answering that question. Yeah, I do think Oliveira can take him down. That's not a crazy take, you know, he's not Kron Gracie. The guy doesn't pull guard. He took down Chandler 5 times. And you know, while Topuria has good takedown defense, which he showed against Mitchell, Oliveira is a lot better than Bryce Mitchell, let's be honest guys. And I can already hear it in the comments, oh Topuria says his grappling is better than his boxing. Listen, Ilia Topuria is Ilia Topuria for a reason, and I'm the MMA realist for a reason. I'm a realist, and this dude is capping. Don't get me wrong, he's a great grappler, he has a lot of submissions, etc. But it's not like we haven't seen Topuria offensively grapple before. We've seen it a lot, just not so much in his recent fights. And to me, it simply doesn't look like he's of the same caliber as someone like Makhachev. But he is a great grappler though, I'll give him that, but Oliveira definitely gives him trouble on the ground. Now when it comes to the striking, they're both extremely dangerous. Topuria's the best boxer in the UFC, and he's also extremely powerful and can finish the fight at any moment. And Oliveira's also very powerful, and he has great kicks, which I think are going to be crucial in this fight. And another underrated weapon in this fight are the knees to the face. Topuria kind of dips down sometimes to load up a hook, and if you time it well, he's going to dip right into that knee. And one thing about Oliveira is he has extremely high finishing ability. Once he hurts you, he's going to be all over you, no Jones. He can KO you, submit you, TKO you on the ground, and if he hurts Topuria, he's going to be in big trouble. And on top of that, Topuria has less weapons than Oliveira too. But that said, Oliveira's biggest weakness is his lack of boxing defense, and coincidentally, Topuria's biggest strength is his boxing. And on top of that, Topuria showed in his last fight against Max Holloway that he is very good at getting past kicks and slipping shots and closing that distance. So there's no doubt in my mind that Topuria is causing major damage if he lands. And I will be going with Topuria in this fight because he's so good at closing that distance, and he mostly pressures forward as well. And when Oliveira fights on the back foot, he usually gets hurt pretty badly. Think about it, in his last fight against Chandler mostly fought on the back foot. But when he started moving forward in the last round, he actually hurt Oliveira and almost finished him. But that said, never count Oliveira out. He has a lot of weapons, he has crazy finishing ability. Like, I don't think it's too crazy to say that Topuria might drop Oliveira and follow him down to the ground and potentially get subbed out there. But I just think Oliveira's lack of defense doesn't match up well against the best boxer in the UFC because he gets shinned in every fight by less competent strikers. So the likelihood of him getting shinned or getting his lights put out by Topuria is pretty high. But I think that's it for today, guys. Check out my last video where I absolutely disprove Lucas Tracy in bedtime MMA. But that said, leave a like, subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Am I just another Ilia Topuria glacier, or do you agree with my breakdown? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to share this to an Oliveira fan, and I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.